So the patch notes for the biggest patch that Diablo IV has received thus far has dropped. And boy, there is a ton of changes in here. I mean, it just kind of scrolls on forever. There's a lot of bug fixes. There's a lot of changes to the open world. There's some changes to the scaling. There's obviously going to be some changes to aspects. And there is a lot of balancing buffs as well as nerfs. And boy, did they nerf the Sorc? We're going to get into that in just a couple of seconds. I just wanted to throw this information out. If you're not familiar, that Season of the Malignant is going to be starting on the 20th, and this is the pre-patch to that. So basically, they have went ahead and installed the Season of the Malignant already and all of the changes, so that as soon as the season goes live, everything just flows as easy and as smooth as possible. So that's what this gigantic patch was about. But they were also wanting to make sure that they got as many changes in this patch that they could, because this is something that we have to download and not something they can change on the back end like a server change. So let's go ahead and get into what they did to the Sorc. It really hurts. I've been playing the Sorc thus far this entire time, and these changes are going to fundamentally change basically how my build is. And I'm just going to go ahead and potentially put the ice build to the side and maybe start running a fire Sorc or maybe even a lightning Sorc. I mean, you'll see in the patch notes. So let's scroll on down there. Okay, so as we scroll all the way down, this is where we get to the balance updates. And believe me, you have to scroll for quite some time to get to this point. But this is where all the balance changes have happened for all of the characters. But there is actually a developer note. And the reason why there's a developer note, they did make some changes to the Paragon board. So you may have to look at your build and find out if you're going to need to switch around your Paragon board, or it doesn't make any difference to the way that you have your character built right now. So developer note, as a community continues to battle the burning hells, the emerging builds from new players have shocked and delighted us. Yeah, there's been some shocking builds and some delighting builds, that's for sure. We've chosen to focus Season of the Malignant balance updates to clear some itemization disparities over redesigns of class features. The class changes are largely focused on numeric increases to skill upgrades and legendary aspects that players haven't found compelling. They haven't found compelling, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that we do not use because they're just not either fun to play with, they don't do enough damage, or they don't help us to clear nightmare dungeons and endgame content. That's a no-duh. Additionally, we changed critical strike damage paragon glyphs to empower all damages instead of only core skills to enable more build strategies. That's pretty cool. That's what I'm saying. Go look at your Paragon board, find out if you've invested or haven't invested into some of these nodes and whether that would greatly increase the power of your build or not increase it at all. That's going to be something that you're going to have to take a look at. There are also a few class stat decreases on sources which grant extreme amounts of damage. That feels so bad to hear. Healing and unstoppable. In general, we prefer build-specific changes to be bonuses instead of decreases, but we feel these changes are necessary for the overall health of the game. Diablo IV is a game that is continually evolving through seasons, thus the adjustments we make will evolve with them. That being said, I can understand why they made some of the changes to some of the builds that we were currently using. Some of them were very overpowered, but they have to respect the time invested. A lot of us have grinded hours upon hours upon hours to get very specific pieces to make our build super strong. But we should know by now that this happens with every game that has ever come out with any kind of build complexities to them. There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be things that are going to get nerfed or buffed. So we should be used to it. It just sucks to hear it because, again, time invested, it's bad. So, all right. So we scroll down a little bit. Let's get to the Sorcerer. Now, the Sorcerer is the character that I play the most. I have been messing with a Druid and trying to put a build together for a Druid. So I will be talking about the Druid eventually, but the Sorcerer I am super duper kind of really comfortable with, so I would rather talk about the Sorcerer and not some of the other classes because, I may not know exactly everything about them. I'm not super familiar with them, okay? So anyways, Let's take a look at this. So enhanced charge bolt damage increased from 24 to 30%, and now benefits from skill ranks. That's cool. Hey, that is a buff. That's awesome. Destruction charge bolts damage reduction increased from 20 to 25%. Awesome. Destructive incinerate damage reduction increased from 20 to 25%. That's cool. Incinerate should be something that we should be more focusing on. It is, I mean, it's literally a blowtorch or a flamethrower in your hand. That thing looks really cool as you start to upgrade it. I just wish the damage would be as cool as the look of actual incinerate. So, hey, maybe we'll start messing with some incinerate builds or something like that. Ice Blade's cleanup has been tightened, allowing players to act after it's cast sooner. A little bit of a weird thing to say there, worded a little weird, but okay, I kind of get what they're saying. I never really use Ice Blades because they're terrible, so it is what it is. Firebolt initial damage increased from 10 to 18%. That's a pretty big buff there. That's cool. Wizard's Firewall maximum increased mana regeneration increased from 25 to 35. That's a very good percentage there. 10 plus percentage, awesome. Wizard Blizzard, that's a weird thing to say. Wizard Blizzard core skill mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20. Okay, very interesting. There's a reason to that. If you're a Sorc person, you should understand. They just wanted to kind of increase that mana reduction, because it's been overused. But whatever, we get the reason why they're doing that. Supreme Deep Freeze cooldown reduction increased from 50 to 100%. That's very cool. Now, the reason why they went ahead and nerfed Blizzard is simply because of the new build that has basically popped up, allowing for you to just be casting Blizzard all over the place and freezing everybody, causing chill, causing frozen, causing slow, stacking damage. They had to do something with Blizzard. I, for one, love Blizzard, so that really sucks for me. It is what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some of the things that have changed. Now, it's not all bad. There are some buffs, but then there's also some very negative nerfs here with the sorcerer, which really makes me feel sad. I've grinded a lot of hours. I was going to say thousands, but I haven't put that much time in. But I've grinded a lot of hours into this game playing the sorcerer, and this kind of makes me feel a little bad that they went really hard on the sorcerer with this patch. So, enhanced charge bolt damage increased from 24 to 30%, and now benefits from skill ranks. That's really cool. That is a buff. Maybe, charge bolts may be something that we need to start messing around with. Destructive charge bolt damage reduction increased from 20 to 25%. Okay, cool. Another little bit of a buff there. Destructive incinerate damage reduction increased from 20 to 25%. Okay, incinerate should be a very powerful skill to use. As cool as it looks as having a flamethrower in your hands, we would wish that the damage would meet the coolness factor of the actual skill. So that's a buff. That's good. Ice Blades. Cast cleanup has been tightened, allowing players to act after it's cast sooner. Ice Blades is something I really don't use. I probably won't use it because it's not very powerful. It doesn't really do much for my build. So it's kind of like a pass. It's okay, cool. Firebolt initial damage increased from 10 to 18%. That is awesome. That is a very good welcomed increase. Now, here's another one. So Wizard's Firewall, the maximum increased mana regeneration increased from 25 to 30%. That is very, very high when it comes to Firewall. So that might be something that we're going to have to start looking into, is maybe messing around with more firewalls. Wizard Blizzard core skill mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20. Okay. Blizzard is one of those skills that has now kind of emerged as a very usable, very strong thing to cast, because it creates frozen and slow and freezes and chill and all of that. So I get what they're making the change here. Okay. Supreme Deep Freeze cooldown reduction increased from 50 to 100%. Okay. All right. Again, we're seeing some buffs. We're seeing some buffs. All right, so passives. Elemental Dominance now also affects mastery skills instead of just core skills. Awesome. That is another buff. Okay, Potent Ward duration increased from 3 to 9 seconds. Small increase, but not bad. Protection Barrier duration increased from 2 to 3 seconds. Wish it was a little bit more. Maybe 4 seconds would have been nice, but hey, an increase is better than nothing. It seems, which I'm hoping, some of these changes are looking like they're maybe wanting to make the survivability of Sorc a little bit better, because resistances don't work right now and there may not be fixed until like season 2. So I'm happy about that, because the Sorc is not a survivable build, unfortunately. Okay, so align the element damage reduction per second increase from 1, 2, 3 to 3, 6, 9. Okay, very interesting. Mana shield damage reduction increased 5, 10 to 15%, is now 7, 14 to 21%. Okay. Devouring Blaze bonus critical strike damage reduced 10, 20 to 30 to now 7, 14 to 21. That is a massive critical strike damage reduction. If you're not familiar, Devouring Blaze is one thing that people use on pretty much every single Sorc build, and reducing the critical strike damage by that much is going to really, really hurt, especially because, again, the Sorc isn't that survivable. All right, so let's go to the next one. Devouring Blaze critical strike damage to immobilize reduced from 20 to 50 and 75, now down to 10, 20, and 30. Let me read that to you again. They reduced the amount of critical strike damage to immobilized enemies. It used to be 20, 50, and 75. That's for every single rank upgrade. Now down to 10, 20, and 30% respectively. Holy, that is a massive, massive nerf to Sorcs. That feels very bad, because this is not only going to affect some of the main Sorc builds, it's affecting all of the Sorc builds, whether it's fire, whether it's ice, it's affecting everybody. That's huge. All right, so Fiery Surge mana reduction or regeneration increased from 10, 20, 30 to now respectively 15, 30, and 45. That is a good buff. That's awesome. Okay, Paragon. The destruction glyph now affects all damages instead of just core skills. That's cool. I'm basically maxing out my destruction glyph right now, and so that is cool to hear that it's now going to affect all damages and not just core skills. That's sweet. Okay, so let's go to the enchantments. All right, so Spark Enchantment, chance to form crackling energy increased from 10 to 14%. Okay, cool. A little bit of a buff there. Not bad. Would have been nice if it was like 15 or 16%, but okay. Frozen Orb Enchantment, chance to cast increased from 20 to 30%. Now, I did mess around and delve into Frozen Orb, and I felt that it was casting a lot, but apparently it wasn't. So maybe I was just getting lucky. Now it's going to have a 30% cast. That's awesome. It's a buff. Cool. Incinerate enchantment cooldown reduced from 18 to 14 seconds. That's awesome. Another little bit of a buff. The Hydra enchantment mana threshold reduced from 300 to 200. Remember how they changed Hydra? So this actually is pretty cool that we can actually get a little bit of a reduction there when it comes to that mana threshold. That's nice to see. That's nice to have. So that's awesome. That's, it's like they hit us with some really bad nerfs and then they gave us some buffs to make us feel a little bit better. I don't know. It still sucks though. Okay, so now let's look at the legendary aspects. The aspects of efficiency, mana cost reduction increased from 10 to 20 to now 15 to 25. Now also affects mastery skills. That's cool. Aspect of Armageddon damage increased from 20, well, 0.20 and 0.25 to 0.35 to 0.40. Okay, cool. Aspect of the Shattered Stars damage increased from 0.15 to 0.2 to 0.2 to 0.25. That's another buff. Okay, Serpentine Aspect Hydra duration reduction reduced 30 to 20 to then 20 to 10%. That's a nerf. That sucks, but okay. The Glacial Aspect Ice Spikes bonus damage to Frozen reduced from 25 to 15%. That absolutely destroys Glacial Aspect. That's rough, but it is what it is. We knew that this was going to end up happening. Okay. Glacial Aspect of Ice Spikes damage increased from 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.25 to 0.35. Okay, so it's like they reduced one and then buffed the other. It's kind of counterintuitive, but okay. I guess I get what they're trying to do here. Aspect of the Frozen Tundra Ice Spikes damage increased from 0.25 and 0.35 to 0.3 to 0.4. We kind of see where they're going here. Aspect of the Frozen Wake Ice Spikes damage increased from 0.2 to 0.23, from 0.25 to 0.35. We get that. Aspect of the Biting Cold Chance apply vulnerable to frozen enemies increased from 0.25, 0.35. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 25 to 35%, now going from 30 to 40%. Okay, cool. Let me see. Encased Aspect Life Mana Restore per second increased from 10 to 20, now 20 to 30. So they increased that one. That's pretty cool. Some of these, not a lot of people use. So this is the reason why they're getting kind of a once over and bumping up some of the damages they can do or some of the reduction of mana or whatnot. Stable Aspect Chance for a free cast increased from 5 to 10 to now 7 to 12. At the high end, it's only a 2% increase. It's a 2% increase. Okay, cool. Aspect of Splintering Energy chance to spawn an additional Lightning Spear increased from 11 to 20 to now 41 to 50. That is a massive change right now. Lightning Spear may be now a go-to skill to use because that is a huge chance. 50% chance to spawn. That's massive. Aspect of the Unbroken Tether chance to additional chain lightning chains increased from 25 to 35%, now going to 30 to 40. That's also a very, very large change there. Very large buff there. That's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and look at some of the items that have changed. So Gloves of the Illuminator, Fireball damage reduction reduced 65 to 70, now down to 55 to 65. Okay. Ilu's Heirloom Critical Strike chance on move speed increased 15 to 25, now going 20 to 30. Okay. Isidor's Overflowing Camo chance to release Lightning Nova increased from 10 to 15. Okay. So we've got some changes here that are good. But we got some nerfs that absolutely destroy a lot of the builds that are for the Sorc. They made the Sorc a little more survivable, but then they absolutely destroyed a lot of the damage thresholds for the Sorc. So it's counterintuitive. Sure, I can survive a little bit longer, which I'm still going to end up getting one shot at times, but yet I can't do the damage to go ahead and clear things fast enough to not get one shot. So it feels really bad for Sorcs. It feels really bad for myself because that's what I normally play. So that being said, the patch notes are out. There was a lot of really good changes. It's not all 100% bad. There were some things done in the patch notes that were very welcome. Some bug fixes, some changes to the open world scaling, some changes to Hell Tides, which seemed like it's going to be a more viable thing to grind. Same thing with the Tree of Whispers increase. There were some really good things done in these patch notes, but some of these nerfs are really going to overshadow some of these things. Now, not everybody got nerfed, but not everybody got buffed. And so it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to go and take a look at the patch notes and make a look at like your specific build or your specific character that you're playing and how this is going to affect you overall. Links will be in the description below with the patch notes. I feel really bad for sorcerers, so we're going to have to go ahead and see how we can now change our builds up to make them more viable. Having, some more survivability is great, but they absolutely trashed a lot of the damage that we could do, and so that really hurts. But anyways, If you found this video informative, if you found the information informative, do me a favor and go down there and hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, this is the first video that you've seen, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're going to be covering Diablo, releasing videos on all of the stuff going on with patch notes and news and the seasons and the whole entire kit and caboodle. So you'll get your coverage here. So hit that subscribe button. If you're a Sorc player, go down there in the comment section below and just go ahead and write in rip Sorc, because Sorc got absolutely destroyed. But if you're also another, playing a different character and your character got destroyed, go down there in the comment section and just rip to whatever your character is. But anyways, that's going to be the end of the video. Patch notes are out. Go take a read at it, and then Season of the Malignant starts in 2 days. So I cannot wait for that. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. Be careful, everybody out there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.